प्रायेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by regular observing all the troublesome to the heart are more completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God, who is praised through transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Canto 7, Chapter 2, Marga, Hiranyakashipu. And where are we at?
Verse 48. 48. 48.
Pati Chutam Visani Vishtarakshitam.
Maharaj is 48. 48.
48.
Yes.
We are reading from 41 to 49, Maharaj.
Okay.
41 to 49.
41 to 49 and focusing on 48.
Every conditioned soul receives a different type body according to his work. And when the engagement is finished, the body is finished. Although the spirit soul is situated in subtle and gross material bodies and different forms of life, he is not bound by them. Always understood to be completely different from the manifested body. Just as a householder, although different from the identity of his house, thinks his house to be identical with him, so the conditioned soul, due to ignorance, accepts the body to be himself. Although the body is actually different from the soul, this body is obtained through a combination of portions of earth, water, and fire. And when the earth, water, and fire are transformed in the course of time, the body is vanquished. The soul has nothing to do with its creation and evolution of the body. As fire, although situated in wood, perceived to be different from the wood, as air, although situated within the mouth and nostrils, is perceived to be separate, and as the sky, although all-pervading, never mixes with anything, so the living entity, although engaged within the material body, of which it is the source, is separate from it. Yamaraj continued, O lamenters, you are all fools. The person named Sinjana, for whom you lament, lying before you, has not gone anywhere. Then what is the cause of your lamentation? Previously he heard you and replied to you, but now, not finding him, you are lamenting. This is contradictory behavior. You have never actually seen the person within the body who heard you and replied. There is no need for your lamentation, for the body you have always seen is lying. In the body, the most important substance is life air, but then also is neither the listener nor the speaker. Beyond even the life air, the soul also is nothing. For the super soul is the director, in cooperation with the individual soul. The super soul conducting the activities of the body is different from the body and living force. The 5 material elements, the 10 senses, and the mind all combine to form the various parts of the gross and subtle bodies. The living entity comes in contact with his material bodies, whether high or low, and later gives them up by his personal prowess. His strength can be perceived in the living entity's personal power to possess different types of bodies. As long as the spirit soul is covered by the subtle body, consisting of mind, intelligence, and false ego, he is bound to the results of fluid activities. Because of this covering, the spiritual soul connected with the material entity and must accordingly suffer material conditions and reversals, continually life after life. It is privileged to see and talk of material laws of nature, and the result is so-called happiness and distress, as if they were factual. When the mind wanders during the day, the man begins to think himself extremely important, or when he dreams at night and sees a beautiful woman enjoying with him. These are merely false dreams. So happiness and distress caused by the material senses should be understood to be meaningless. And now, this is the
48.
48.
48.
Vidata vinishu, vidata vinivishoyam.
Vidata vinivishoyam.
Yadguneshwarta drigvacha.
Yadguneshwarta drigvacha.
Ramo manoratha swapna.
Manoratha swapna.
Sarvam indriyakam vrisha.
Sarvam indriyakam vrisha.
Vitatha vinishoyam.
Vidata vinivishoyam.
Yadguneshwarta drigvacha.
Yadguneshwarta drigvacha.
Manoratha swapna.
Yatha manoratha swapna.
Sarvam indriyakam vrisha.
Sarvam
Vitata vinovishoyam.
Vidata viniveshoyam. Yadguneshwarta drigvacha. Yatha manoratha swapna. Sarvam indriyakam vrisha. Vidata viniveshoyam.
Yadguneshwarta drigvacha.
Yadguneshwarta drigvacha. Yatha manoratha swapna. Sarvam indriyakam vrisha. Sarvam indriyakam vrisha. Vidata viniveshoyam.
Yadguneshwarta drigvacha.
Yadguneshwarta drigvacha.
Yatha manoratha swapna.
Yatha manoratha swapna.
Sarvam Indriyakam Vrisha.
Sarvam indriyakam vrisha. Vidata viniveshoyam. Yadguneshwarta drigvacha. Yatha manoratha swapna. Sarvam indriyakam vrisha. Vidata
fruitless.
Abhiniveshaha.
The conception.
Ayam.
This. Yat. Which. Guneshu.
In the
modes of material nature.
Artha.
As a fact.
Drigvacha.
Seeing and talking of.
The seeing and talking of.
Yatha. Just as.
Manoratha.
A mental concoction.
Daydream.
Swapnaha. The dream. Sarvam. Everything. Indriyakam. Produced by the senses. Risha. False. Translation. Let's do it together. It is
Fruitless to see and talk the material modes of nature and the result is so-called happiness and distress, as if they were factual. When the mind wanders during the day, and a man begins to think himself extremely important, or when he dreams at night and sees a beautiful woman enjoying with him, these are only false dreams. Similarly, the happiness and distress caused by the material senses should be understood to be meaningless.
Purport, President about the Swami Prabhupada. The happiness and distress derived from the activities of the material senses are not actual happiness and
Distress.
Therefore, Bhagavad Gita speaks of happiness that is transcendental to the material conception of life. Sukham atman yatad buddhi grayam atindriyam. When our senses are purified of material contamination, they become atindriya, transcendental senses. And when the transcendental senses are
Engaged
in the service of the master of the senses, which is Rishikesh, one can derive real transcendental happiness or pleasure. Whatever distress or happiness we manufacture by mental concoction through the subtle mind has no reality. Okay, great. All right, but is simply a mental
concoction.
One should therefore not imagine so-called happiness for mental concoction. rather the best golf course is to
Engage
engage the
mind,
service of the
Lord,
Rishikesh and thus feel real blissful
happiness, satisfaction.
life. There is a Vedic statement, apama amrita abhuma apsarovir viharam. With reference to such perception, one wants to go to the heavenly planets to enjoy with the young girls there and drink somarasa. Very good. How would you know? Such imaginary pleasure, however, has no
Meaning.
No value.
Value.
Value or no value. Very good. No value. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:23, Bhavatu palam desha tad bhavat yalpa medasam. Men of small intelligence worship the
The demigods.
demigods, and their
True.
fruits are limited and temporary. Even if by fruit of activity or worship of the demigods, one is
Elevated.
elevated to the higher planetary systems and enjoyment, this situation is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita as perishable. The happiness one enjoys in this way is like the pleasure of embracing a young woman in a dream. For some, it may be pleasing, but actually the basic principle is false. Very good. Sorry. The mental concoctions of happiness and distress in this material world are
Paired.
paired because of their falseness. All of obtaining happiness by using the material senses have a false background
Wrong.
and therefore have no
Meaning.
Hare Krishna, everyone. It's nice to see you again. Okay, what the good festivals out there. Now, we're looking at this segment of the Bhagavatam, and it's Hiranyakashipu who's giving enlightenment, right? He's actually trying to console members and talking about a king, Maharaj, coming into the picture as a young boy, and coming to the queens are all taken a ration about their lost king, and they're bawling their eyes out. So he's trying to help them to see, reality. Reality is that we're all going to go, all things must pass, right? And let's not get trapped up in things here. Let's take a perspective that's of a transcendental nature, and let's not live on mental concoction. Let's not get mental. And because if you're anybody, doesn't matter, it's regardless of whether you're one of those pious beings or impious. When it comes time to consoling people, you'll have a heart, and you'll see something maybe a little philosophical. If someone says, well, we all get it. Have you ever heard that before? He's in a better place. Those are the kind of lines that you get at the funeral home. There's a place now, she was suffering a lot, and now this is over. Isn't it like that? Those are common lines that flow through the, within the confines of the funeral home, or even at, when mingling with families and so on. Well, those are the kind of mantras that go on, right? Oh well, he had a good life. He had a good life. We're not going to go to hell. We're going to go to heaven. Oh, we're in heaven now. Is it like that? People are suddenly, they got the conclusion right there. so many that, oh, it's in a better place. Yeah. So that's what calms people. Well, you're right. Like, yesterday, talking to some, when I did walk across the U.S. and we were in New Jersey Sunday morning, and it was the fall time, and all the trees were beautiful with red, yellow, and pink, and burgundy, and all that kind of stuff. And there were 4 of us walking, doing japa early in the morning on Sunday. The sun was up, and then there was another row of people on the other side of the road, and praying on their rosary. Can you imagine that? And so my support guy did this one. He's like, Maharaj, look at this. What we're doing. So then we went over to their side because they weren't them than us. And we were just asking, what are you doing? Well, we do this on occasion. We travel from we walk on foot from one church within our diocese to the next church. And we're just praying for the suffering humanity. And we explain what we're doing, a similar kind of thing as well. We're praying with our beings for the betterment of humanity. And we were not in a situation to, to say anything different from each other. And in fact, one lady who was in the group, she said, oh well, it's the same. It was nice to hear that, right? Not that it's a different God, not that it's a different culture necessarily. It was a very mature statement. Same God, isn't it? There's lots of things that we can say along the line on a daily basis that will serve to console, because everyone hits stressful moments in the day. How do you get up? It's really nice to not see you there. And maybe that would be a very nice exercise of devotees to come across and think about good things to say to people. Let optimism prevail, and just sort of like having that kind of culture to develop that a little bit more. I remember just yesterday I went for a walk, and some guys were working in a house, and they were just working with a shovel and moving the dirt over, and I just gave a smile. They looked to be Eastern European, and I just gave a smile. People don't do that when you're working. Well, they're getting paid. Why should we be nice to them? You ever attitude that people? Well, they're getting paid, so you should just be happy. But it makes a big difference when you throw out a little bit of a positive energy, which devotees are meant for, isn't it? We're supposed to be out right and making people feel good about it. And when you pose some positive gestures like that, they're more inclined to warm up to you. And that's what we want. We want people to be nice to us. In the early days, they're kind of joking with us. Oh, are you serious? Particularly 60s, early 70s, they're serious. All these bald people, and yet in those days everyone had big afros and sideburns down here, and mustaches like anything like that. And those were the women. No, I'm just kidding. And then they saw us, because they had no reference point. At that time there were no movies out, kung fu movies yet. They had only come out, and by monks. So people had no real reference points. They saw these skinny people with head sheets on their color, Pepto-Bismol, and markings on the forehead. And there were not many immigrants from India yet where many things on their forehead. So they just didn't relate to us, But then we were so used to being mocked at. We were so accustomed to it. And then somebody's got the idea, well, let's wear Western clothes. Let's wear, we call carny clothes, or civilian clothes. And we went out and did book this in that way. And then for some people it was a little more comfortable. Now, it's different. Like if you're a little bit different, you got guts. Hey, are you a monk? That once we on the way to the kirtan. Are you a monk? He said, well, yes, I am. So, is there a temple around here? They were looking for a Buddhist temple. I lived in a temple, but it's the Hare Krishna temple. Oh, yes, Hare Krishna. Okay. So, now we're quite acceptable. In fact, we're pretty peaceful people. We're low maintenance. The police don't. Only once in a while when the building is filled, just to be done, they have a concern. So, and then devotees got into making their own paraphernalia. We didn't have a congregation. We had to pay the bills. We had to pay the hydro, the heating bill, this bill, that bill, paying for the vehicle insurances and so on like that. So devotees came up with these three candles, Devotees were manufacturing curved candles. They were really neat. And we were selling them, and people liked us. We started this these candles. So gradually, so many people coming in, especially from India, people got to understand comparative religious studies were going on in schools. This all indicates a kind of evolution of where we got accepted. And we had fierce fights, more on the psychological level with some of us at the university. And we had what's called a cult awareness week, because people were, let's say, being drafted. Students, young, vulnerable students were being drafted by the cults, and we went with them. So we got, but that got, we had members from our community talk to some of those speakers who were notorious for putting down small groups, what they sometimes is referred to as surging religions. Like what one of the Scientologists said at that time, that era. A cult is a group of people that don't have enough membership to be called a religion. They came up with these interesting things. So we actually had to get the human rights involved to meet with these Rabbi Silverman was one of them, and so other people got to understand us a little bit more. When it came to dealing with the authorities, I hope you don't mind me talking about some history here, and we will come around to consolation, right? Consoling people. Our temple president met with the chief of police, and the room was full of users. And why did they come? To understand what is Hare Krishna. Now, they got to appreciate, they were kind of like a Mennonite group or a pious group of people who stand for peace and all that. Whereas there was great misunderstanding. There were a lot of immature officers, walking on the street or driving along and saying, hey, what you got on there? Is that bird turd on your forehead? Like, these are police officers, must respect them. They respect us. And so eventually we got accepted. And nowadays people do say things, make remarks that are very consoling and very positive about the whole time. They just like monks. They like us. I don't know if they like rabbis. I'm right, like black, people in black from the Catholic Church. Like people with a collar. I think we've got more respect and notoriety than a lot of these other religious groups. So that's to the credit of Prabhupada's mercy and all the devotees playing their cards relatively right. Good behavior goes a long way to winning the hearts of people. On the other hand, if we're putting ourselves across as people of righteousness, but then we do double-handed things and we do things that are questionable, then the public will just say, oh, these are phony. I traveled with brahmacharis in Ireland. That was in 2008. Ireland's where it rains all the time. And this one of the brahmacharis was saying, Well, you know, I went this, was going door to door, and I knocked on this one person's house, and the lady came out, and I just introduced myself as a monk. He was distributing it. I'm a monk. So, well, what kind of a monk are you? This is in the UK. I said, I'm a wet one. So she laughed at that. So sometimes you have to use humor in people's hearts. You know? But there was a lot of antagonism in the beginning, and that eventually we gained the confident public by and large, and so it's do good works of the devotees. You know? People are saying things that are calming and soothing to the devotees. And on the other hand, we should be doing the same thing as well. Maybe I told you the story. It was Janmashtami, and I was walking in Rhode Island, and they took the old railroad track that went right through the middle of the province, and it's quite long, small, but long. And there were cars, they were going around, and they were pruning the trees, you know, the branches off out of the way of travelers like cyclists and all that, and also some gypsy, what do you call it, those caterpillars, those things that are kind of a nuisance. So it was Janmashtami, and I felt really good, and I saw them at it, and I had just been in Nova Scotia where they weren't taking care of the trails so much. It's popular, literally the pits, you know, the pits were there. And so I said to these guys, well, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. It's really good work. You're making life a little easier for people like myself. And they were just kind of stunned. Anyone would say something nice to them. They kind of look at each other. Like, did you hear what I heard? Kind of thing. And that's because they get paid. That doesn't mean you can't be nice to people, right? It doesn't buy you love, it doesn't buy you laughter. I saw a nice little, on a chalkboard. Money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you some ice cream. And you're pointing to the ice cream parlor here. I don't know the phrase, money can't buy you love, but it can be places. And money is also just on a, it's not evil, it's just depending on how you use it. If you're using it for spiritual purposes or for your soul, that's a great accomplishment. It's being used for self-aggrandizement, then it's not such a good thing. And that's what the culture outside is all about. It's all about tantalizing, it's all about pampering, and giving some temporary satisfaction to the body. So in that regard, happiness is just what Chapulosukha is, just temporary happiness, very, very. You ever get those lights, sometimes like defaulting lights, or goes like that, just goes like, you can't read it. Where's the spare homes? Who's going to change this? And then it just goes on like that. And, that's what happiness is like in the physical world. It's all just like this, flickering on and off and on and off, and it can try to be a little bit bad. Bhakti Academy, Toronto. Drive you batty. There you go. Corny joke. Anyways, let's just get to the point of realizing that the body will go, soul has moved on, and people like Hiranyakashipu had these basic concepts down, just like Ravana did. We always painted bad to these guys. They were dictators. They were mystic creatures. They were not nice. But then they might have been smart also at the same time. Ravana was a Brahmin, but he'd act like one. But he had on the side, he had something there. He got some training. So in that regards, you can actually take, like the story of Vritrasura, fighting with Indra. He was on the demonic side. Prabhu, are you okay? But he spoke eloquently, and it was really any reader of the Bhagavatam will praise the God and says, wow, he's doing better than Indra. You know, he's got my heart over because of his philosophical renderings. So that's anyone who speaks eloquently has something to offer to the world. So eloquence is what we are all about, and we like to say some things that will be very meaningful from the heart and very encouraging. Yeah. So I heard that with the Vyas Puja, a lot of offerings went out there, and they were very long, right? Am I right about that? Very long. They were, yeah, probably was Vyas Puja. And it was, other reports I get are very long, drawn out, and usually like a class, like it was from the heart. So when you're writing something about the Guru, then it should be, heartfelt, right? And it can be succinct, cut to the point, concise, like Marga when he's concise about his thoughts, and he makes his point and gets it across and doesn't have to drag on. I appreciate what Bhakti Academy has done under your direction. You're very strict with that. 8:30, okay, let's go, folks. And you were 8:39, 29, and I like that. I like that. Have you ever been to classes? Classes and go, So we should say things that are going to be truthful, sure, and speak on something that try to be concise, not to bore people, not be about, don't want to say, oh, please have mercy on me. So it's really, the content should be interesting, it should be riveting, it should be provocative, it should be thoughtful, and that is the kind of exercise we should go through when it comes to writing a Vyasa. It doesn't have to be too long, it can be 2 minutes, and that's it. And get on with the shot. You'll have more impact on people when you say something, you be concise, get to the point, and don't, dance around the issue, but be straight. Tell it like it is. And you can be creative with it, and just get excited. For instance, I'll just give an example. Here's a phrase that devotees use that will be us flips. Oh, by your mercy. How many times do you hear it? By your mercy, like your lotus navel and your lotus mouth, whatever, everything's lotus. Those are lotus and mercy, by your mercy. Everything's going up by your mercy. Okay, can you come up with a new phrase, perhaps? Kind of nice, just be a little creative, something a little different, and then it will enthuse others to also do the same. But if we're just like a parrot, it's like, and you're really making everyone suffer. So of course the content should be about praising, and for sure, give it a little bit of an original twist. Think deeply about it, and just don't be so mechanical about it. We all know what it means to chant japa, and I remember Okay, so it's got to be, you ask Krishna when you start your japa, please help me to come across with some meaningful mantras here. And please help me that it can be very clear, and that it's, like in the prayer, ask Krishna to clear your head and to be very sincere about chanting the japa. So then you see some better results. Anybody who sticks by chanting the japa, they get some benefit. But if you can stick by the process and put something heartfelt into it, then there's just much greater benefit that comes from that. Okay, great. So we're at this point where we can ask questions, and let's say, let your hair hang out. All right, yes.
Maharaj, on the topic of being concise, I remember in high school my teachers would say to use the KISS method, keep
Yeah.
it short and simple, or
Right.
short and sweet. So
Right.
it just reminded me of that.
No, that's true. Yeah, we say kiss means keep it simple, sounding. Or keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Dharma,
Maharaj, talking, the different.
the trip.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I will, sure. We'll do it at the tail end. We'll just ask for any other questions.
You're speaking about speaking truthfully and straightforwardly, and I find that to be difficult. Some advice how to develop that type of speech.
That's good. You know Jay, we can refreshing to sit by on a class that he gives, because he's like that. He's straight. It's like challenge. Okay. Yes, but there is a tradition where you can kind of disguise your message a little bit, like not everybody. We have the story of the Chinnabalisha, like flavoring it a little bit. Shakespeare used that technique as well. And perceptive people will pick up on it wasn't obvious in the beginning. I get it now. Oh my God. So I think that's the art. You can lay it on straight for certain phrases, right? And that reassuring also is like doing the opposite, flowering thing. So I think when making a delivery of a message from the Bhagavad, then it's good to use both. Why not? And let people kind of let their minds, let them navigate a little bit. Have you navigate them through. Sometimes that technique is used for strategic purposes. You don't have to do it, but maybe at the end when the audience realizes, oh, then you can slam down. It's some expertise. Yeah, but I think that's really nice that you brought that point up. It's quite straightforward. Yes. Yes.
Might be a loss of someone dear or something dear to us brings a momentary realization, like even a demon could to a wise person just because of the loss of his brother.
Well, that's the beauty of living in this world where there's moments of shock. I think it's really I like the preparation. It's shock as stage. We shock up. She sometimes shocks us. I say that emotionally. So those are great moments of an epiphany when we're shaken up. So that is one of the things that really stills everybody and says, oh my God. Like I remember one family, somebody such, and his wife, she was wonderful. I worked with her in South Africa, and 3 daughters, such a perfect kind of scenario. And then when we heard that she had such kind of cancer and that she was going to die, everyone just like saying, oh no, not her, not Andy, because it's 3 little girls. So it was like that sometimes. It does arrest people. And so it's hopeful. It's not like you have to stop sometimes and reflect deeply. We can't just go on with your fruit of this and just go on and not have some downtime, not have some mental time. It's necessary to become introspective, to go inward. Like Bhakti said, Steve Maharaj. But look, we have to look within. And it's death that oftentimes does that.
What is this so temporary realization? Like after some time, just get engaged in material world again.
Okay, that's right. So just talking about the three modes of material nature, when you get that shock, you're hearing getting some information, a report that someone dear to you has passed away, then it just slots you into, well, you could go into depression, but if you don't go deep down that pit, then it can shock you into like subtle room, like be receptive. Realize, well, if you want to go to, oh yes, well it is only the body that's gone, the person is still around. But forces us to become philosophical, so it's not a bad thing. Death has to come. If no one was dying, there would be overpopulation. And if no one was dying, it's just live forever. Live high up the hall. You get complacent, right? So death is a good thing when it happens around. This is the biggest illusion of all time. King here, talk to that Yakshas. Tell me, what is the wondrous thing that you've experienced? He says the most amazing things everywhere, people are dying around me. That there's something in me that says, I'm not going to die. And it's true. Atma will die. But it was a very hard-hitting response. Reflective. That we need moments where we reflect. And since not everyone's going to die unless every day, therefore we have serious moments, like maybe right now, reading the Bhagavatam. We can relate to feelings, struggling through this. Anybody else? Yes.
Maharaj, in the third line, it is written that a man begins to think these are important and these are like merely falsehood. So in what way? If this
I'm sorry, you talk so fast. Where did you go? Where are you?
third line, it is written.
Third line.
Yeah, a man begins to think himself extremely important. So in what he feels?
Understood. Yeah, that's part of ego, is it not? He feels he's a great contributor to the universe.
So how that can be like a merely falsehood?
Can it be positive? Well, it's not that positive. I mean, there's something within us.
How could it be a false dream?
Yeah.
There's something within us that says I'm not really significant. Like we hear devotees, I'm nothing. Well, you are something. Do some service and you'll feel about yourself. But through service we feel important just because there's a connection with Krishna. Right? Then we feel Krishna's favoring me. Even when the ego could get to your head. So it's dream or night dream. They're both the same. Isn't it? Okay. Anybody else?
What do you think about Kadika?
What about Kadika? Oh yeah, he was asking me that. Okay, anybody else have any questions pertaining to the class? Okay, so myself and Mahadev and I flew to Fredericton. Fredericton is the capital city of New Brunswick, and there was a program set up for us along the lines of the rented some space when we set up Janmashtami. That was on the Saturday. The next day, we drove to St. John, and that was an outdoor Janmashtami program. Yeah. You want me to stay with what we just went through? So St. John, we had an outdoor event. We were chanting. All that was very good. And then in the evening, we went to Mount. I feel very much at home because I'm a monk. And that was packed. It was just jam-packed. And there were nice presentations. Here went well. And there were some young girls doing the dances, Right. And then I thought, the guys do something, so I opened up my poetry book and I read the story of Krishna, the charm boy, and then there's one about Neville that is very theatrical, and he read it out, and everyone had such a good time with that. I said, would you like to do one? Yay! And then we tried that same technique in Halifax, where there's also a jam-packed hall, and there's Yogendra, and Yogendra is also a thespian person I worked with in the dramas in the past. So he was great, and then we, the story called for little Krishna, so one boy volunteered, and he was an adorable little kid, and we just, there was some quotes that he had to say, so I would say it, and then he'd repeat it, and he had a little. And so adorable. People were captivated by this little boy who reflected Krishna in some ways. So we did that, and there was prasadam available for everybody. And, yes, I found it was very hard for the crowd to just sit there and do a lecture, do a prabhachan. One of us get up and move with the microphone and ask people blah 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 this and that and engage them more. Our experiences in all these places, people don't understand Shravan and Kirtan. Even though you tell them. You know what I mean? Hare Krishna, and they sing with you. It says, no, stop. Or then they laugh, oh yeah, that's right. And then they go at it again, stop. We have to start to give summon slips to people. But then, it was Tuesday night. It was Tuesday. We had a program in Lunenburg. That's like a little tourist trap. It's like a perfect, charming little town where the big ships come in, those skipper ships. It's like sort of heritage type place. Anyways, this was in a century-old schoolhouse, which was refurbished and renovated, and it was arranged by Yogendra, and it was yoga people, or kirtan that came. They had, just to compare, they had no problem with the receive and respond. They had no problem with following it, and that's what we did. We have a good formula now. You have to finish with this in kirtan. That's has to be like that. In fact, we start off soft and smooth, and the couple there was to melodies easy to follow, and that's what they're liked. As opposed to there's something Prabhupada didn't care for, actually, to be honest with you. Yeah, so very favorable, everything. We had veggie burgers, that. What more can you want? And Yogendra has these cows, they're like Shetland cows, like Scottish, very long hairs, very passive. We just we were with them, and we did do some walk. I met people that when I was late June in Halifax, I met them again. We remember each other's names now. So that's how you build up your confidence that people may have for us. Make friends. Don't be shy. Be proud. Wear an outfit. Wear your devotional clothes. Put the time. I mean, it really, when you do it, it kind of helps. And that's what it was for like 5 days out there. And we were going to swim. We had a nice beach over down by the ocean side. And nothing extraordinary, just a lot of people coming to the events. Loving Krishna. They have a choice to go to the Indian couple, but they love to come to us because they love the kirtan. And everyone gets a chance to do Abhishek and all that stuff, and swim Krishna and the Jula. They just like the atmosphere. And what I found very interesting that most people, I think the average is about 30. You don't see many older folks. So it's young families, there's singles, all this stuff. But The crowd we had the last day was Bhakti yogis, mostly folks, mostly women. So that is it, Dharma Pranapuru. Questions or comments? Okay. What we should do is put your hands up like this, one up like this, the other one over here. Put your hands slightly down.
Namo